Hello, it is Mike Matthews, and this is Mike's Daily Podcast. I am the host of the longest-running self-produced daily podcast by a guy named Mike in a place called Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Rootabega. I just made up all that off the top of my head. It's episode 3036. One thing that I've noticed as a podcaster, once upon a time, we were doing this thing, some of us people that came from the radio world, we'd do like a recording of some audio, do some theater of the mind type stuff, maybe tell some news stories, interview some people, that kind of thing, as I interviewed someone recently on my podcast, on the past couple of them. You know, we didn't really figure into it video. In fact, any radio guy I knew that tried to video himself while he was doing a radio show always messed up his radio show because he was so consumed with how he looked and how the camera was right there. So he wanted to look at the camera, and then he wasn't looking at things that he was supposed to be doing in the radio world. So he couldn't multitask. Well, now everybody that does the podcasting is doing video these days. In fact, it's gotten to such a degree that they call videos podcasts, even though that's not where it all started. Podcasting was always an audio thing up until just recently. Well, turns out a survey by podcast hosting company Transistor. Hey, I remember Transistor radios. They were cool. Well, this is just Transistor. They suggest that Gen Z listeners prefer audio podcasts over video. Yes, the younger generation is preferring audio podcasts over video. They don't care what you look like. They don't want to see you talking into a microphone. That sounds so boring. They enjoy the audio aspect so that I can go and be doing things like taking a shower, or maybe I'm rearranging all my dishes in the kitchen, or putting my books away, or maybe I'm brushing the cat. Whatever I'm doing, I can listen. I don't have to have my eyes focused on the screen. We look at too many screens all day anyway. Your Café Anyway, your phone's got this big blaring screen. It sits in your pocket or your purse all day. It demands your attention. Well, 76% of Gen Zers want the audio podcast, not the video. And we have to say video podcast and audio podcast. It should just be radio podcasts, and then the other thing is TV shows, because they're like little TV shows, the videos. Only 6% primarily watch videos. Only a minuscule 6%. Wait, 76 plus 6 equals 82. What about all the others? Despite YouTube being the most used platform for this demographic, Spotify remains their top choice for listening to shows. Yes, of course, YouTube is all about the visual, although they are trying to compete with Spotify with their YouTube music to make it more of a listening experience. But in the end, they want you to watch stuff. And Spotify is now trying to get into the video world, but there are the younger folks wanting to hear the audio stuff. The data also indicates a trend toward narrative fiction among young listeners. Once upon a time, there was Mike, who was being harassed by Color Guard, saying that, hey, we want you to... Colo Guard. Color Guard. Wait, Color Guards were the people with the flags doing the cool moves in the next to the marching band in the parade. The other thing is completely different. Okay. The point is, people like narrative fiction, the younger folks do, and we're missing a whole 18% of what people prefer with podcasts. Maybe they don't listen to podcasts at all. They prefer just sticking their head in the sand because they're ostriches. Well, if you're an ostrich or a person or a Canadian goose or whatever, you're all welcome to come into Café Anyway. Let me get the door for you. Café Anyway. Welcome to Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It is episode 3036, 3036, and Mike Matthews here at Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
The last place on earth in Ameritopica. It's podCastro Valley. Here we are. It's Mike Matthews. It's Anson Brown. I know I'm not a star. Definitely not a YouTube star, TikTok star, or a podcasting star. But I like to do this show. So what? I'm not a robot. I'm Mike. And here we are.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
With a program live from a wonderful place called Café Anyway, somewhere in podCastro Valley.
Mike's
the last place on earth.
Daily
So I guess I go
Podcast.
by the name of, I guess I'm a creative. Back when I was younger, we were just called creative people, or we were creators. Now we're just creatives. So I'm doing this creative thing with you. Thank you for listening. Now, meanwhile, people that use Apple products, they tend to just jump on that, and they live and breathe Apple. Sometimes you try and show them something like Microsoft or whatever, and they're like, what? Apple does everything for me. I don't have to think. Well, Apple just unveiled a new, cheaper iPhone 16e. They did this a month ago, and it uses a thing called the A18 chip. And it features this full-screen OLED display and includes Apple Intelligence capabilities. Because forever you forbid the person that has any intelligence using this. So it includes the Apple Intelligence and Apple's first in-house cellular modem. What modems? The most annoying noise on the planet. Well, it's called C1. It's featured in the new iPhone 16e. And everything I just said, I have no idea what I just said, but I said it. So that's fascinating, isn't it? Meanwhile, on Spotify, which you can listen to this podcast on.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Yes, and the podcast picture is not of Spotify, but of the beautiful area in podCastro Valley that is up in the hills there. Oh, kind of close to, where would that be? I guess kind of near Coal Canyon. And there are some deer on the hills, on the beautiful green hills of podCastro Valley. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. They're eating and enjoying all the wonderful fresh grass. They love it. And so do some dogs. As they walk along, they'll start eating some grass. I've seen cats do it too. It's supposed to help with digestion. Does that mean I should try and do that to aid in my digestion? Maybe I should. But see that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. Spotify may release Music Pro, the hi-fi streaming service it's been touting for the past 4 years. The service, priced as a $6 a month add-on, could include features such as song remixing. I don't understand why. Why would you do that cheap? Not the cheap, but the easy way out. Learn how to actually mix songs. Get you 2 turntables and a microphone and do it for reals. But this is whatever. It's the easy thing. I don't need an oven to heat up my food. I just need a microwave. Well, it's
life grand.
Isn't it grand that you can do song remixing by paying an extra $6 a month? And it also gives you access to pre-sale concert tickets. Does it give me the concert tickets for free? No. It gives me the opportunity to buy the tickets before other people. That's exciting because I am one of those people that goes to concerts all the time. No, I don't. I got through that. I did that. And I did much of it in my early days, and now does not interest me. So we covered Apple, we covered Spotify, some of the big tech people, and then the Facebook, Instagram people. And I'm not going to bring up WhatsApp because I don't understand it, but it's big in Europe. It's all owned by Meta. The $10 billion underwater cable that they have called Project Waterworth. And here's Rocky Worth. Hi, Rocky. He's enjoying visiting me on camera. And that's what's so cliche is podcasters that video themselves.
What's the cliche of the week?
And I know I'm in the minority
What's the cliche of the week?
when I say that because so many people love
What's
them.
the cliche of the week?
Oh, I want to see my podcasters talking
What's the cliche of the week?
on a microphone. Oh, they're so handsome. They're so hot. I get to see them on video. Ooh, wow. No, you get to see Rocky the cat on video. That's right. And his little thing is finally healing up after months. This thing
What's the cliche of the week?
that he got on his neck.
What's the cliche of the week?
So we can't put a cone on him because
What's the cliche of the week?
it would sit right where the
What's the cliche of the week?
wound is. So we've had to go without any sort of protection so he can scratch it whenever he wants. And thus it has not been healing correctly for the past 2 months, over 2 months. So the vet has been threatening to do surgery on it. Can we try anything else? Well, we can give him antibiotics. So that seems to be working. That and not letting him go outside where he can scratch it up even more. So that's the latest I know you were asking. But we were actually asking about Project Waterworth. When it's finished, it'll be the world's longest subsea cable. It is located 7,000 meters under the sea. Converting meters to miles, that's 7 billion miles.
News random.
I may not be good with my calculations and my... So that undersea stuff. Anyway, it's below the sea, and the cable will connect north. Because if it was on top of the sea, the boats would have problems. The boats. I have to say it because I'm thinking of Mojo Nixon. Elvis likes boats, or Elvis has boats. Elvis is in everyone except for Michael J. Fox. Remember that song? If you don't, you got to find it. And if your store doesn't have any Mojo Nixon, then your store can use some Fixin', said the Dead Milkmen. Another great band from the 80s, early 90s. As we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Meritopica. Well, this cable will connect North America, South America, Africa, Asia, and Australia. Isn't that every single continent on the planet? Facilitating global digital development. And it will also help
Mike's scavenger hunt.
Meta's AI efforts. Mark Zuckerberg, I have found in my scavenger hunt, wants to rule the world. This is my project. It's Project Waterworth, not Bigglesworth. Ooh, maybe Mark Zuckerberg really is Dr. Evil. Although I am the bald guy with a cat on my lap. Isn't that right, Mr. Rocky Worth? Oh, yes, all these references to Austin Powers. Has that movie dated well? Don't think it has. And I think that's why people like it. It's so like it could not ever have been made now. I don't know. Then you got Ryan Reynolds, who does all this irreverent stuff in his movies. And if you think about the whole Deadpool thing, which made so much money.
For your entertainment.
Oh, who?
The one.
Ryan Reynolds?
The only.
The?
Mike Matthews.
Hugh Jackman? Oh, it's me, Mike Matthews. Thank you. Cat butt on camera. Okay, it's gone. The alien camera. All right. What I don't understand is the whole fascination with... Okay, here's what I appreciate about Deadpool. Yes, the movie's been out for a long time now. Over a year, I think, at this point. Or just about a year. No, came out late last year, didn't it? Late during the summer. Midsummer, something like that. Midsummer Night Dream. Midsummer Murders. It came out last year with the Hugh Jackman, Deadpool and Wolverine. My point is, what I'm trying to say is, a lot of doors had to open in order for that movie to be made. First, you needed to have the digital animation effects capability in order to do all the crazy effects that movie...
The Mike tip.
My tip to you is that movie is entirely all special effects, all CGI just about. There's some cool fight scenes and things, but so much CGI involved. Then you have to have someone like a Ryan Reynolds that his audience is so big, so vast, that basically at this point, the whole world is in on the joke that Ryan Reynolds is irreverent and will not, you can't take him seriously. He knows he can't be taken seriously, and he has fun with it. So there's that. There's the fact that Disney, and a lot of people on the right would say that Disney has gone so down the rabbit hole of foulness, of immorality, of obscenity. They're saying that just about the new Snow White live action movie. But they're saying that about, they made an R-rated movie. When did Disney ever make an R-rated movie? Well, they did during the Touchstone era.
Wow, shuts, wow.
Wow, shuts, wow. I remember that. But then, yeah, because you had, wasn't Down and Out in Beverly Hills a Touchstone movie? And a bunch of other ones. So you have a very, I did not see the entire movie. And my mom used to say, wow, shuts, wow, when I told her something that surprised her. Because she called me Shuts, because it's a German thing. So the thing that I appreciate about Deadpool, even though I couldn't get through it, I was watching it on the plane, and I said, no, I'm done. And then I looked at it, had drained all the... My battery was at 0 just about. And I said, I still got to call and get an Uber when I get to the airport. Well, the point is that there was my other doors had opened to make the Deadpool open, to make it possible, is what I'm saying. To have Disney go into that
Newsbleed section,
into that dark abyss in the Newsbleed section. And also, they had to acquire all those characters because some of them were owned by Fox, and then they acquired Fox, so they were able to do that. Ryan Reynolds had the bona fides to do this because he had played Deadpool in a whole other iteration before the Deadpool movies came out. He was in that X-Men universe. And this is all I know about comics. And I've not seen just about all the movies I've referenced. This is what I have a lot of comic book loving friends, male friends, as probably you do. They're all over the place now. So we've mentioned Meta, we mentioned Spotify, we mentioned Apple. What about other tech people? Let's just mention one more. How about Amazon? Amazon wants in on regional sports networks, and they're going to start offering $20 per month add-ons to Prime Video for the Main Street Sports Group. They own 16 regional sports networks. Once again, I've just mentioned something that I have no idea about. I do not follow sports. I do know that there's like different regions, but I don't know.
Well, I like
the whiny white man wine list.
Why do I gotta pay extra for all these add-ons? Once upon a time, I could pay for one flat fee for cable, and I got it all. Of course, I also got a bunch of commercials. But what the heck happened? Now it's a nightmare of a show.
Nightmare of a show.
What in the tarnation? Hey, look who's here outside of Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth in the land of Ameritopica. Now. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega. Oh, that was very interesting. Ooh. You found that interesting, and you learned things, and you're all happy.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
You're happy, you're thankful you're on the show. Yes. You enjoyed Deadpool? Yes. Did you like any of the other X-Men movie? No. Oh, okay. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we heard you had that guy Nathan McEwen on your last podcast day.
Yeah, Nathan McEwen. Do you know that? It's true. It was a wonderful interview. He's a wonderful guy. And I just realized only today that I did not ask him about someone we knew, a mutual acquaintance named Randall Richmond, who was a very famous guy in downtown Ventura. He helped people along, like he would invest in people. He was a humanitarian, a beneficiary. He helped out folks. He was a nice guy. And at one point, he owned the big bank building. No, wait, what do they call it? The building that the not Eugene O'Neill. I've been up in the Bay Area too long. I'm too close to Danville because it's all Eugene O'Neill. The guy that wrote Perry Mason and all that. He had a building that he owned. It was very historic. And then Earl Stanley Garner. And so Randall had purchased that building and he rented it out, made money from that, sold it, made money from that. He actually had some coffee cups made when he did own it. And I own 2 of the cups. And I was looking at them the other day, and my lovely lady friend was asking about them, and I told her the story about Randall. Well, I did not know, sadly, Randall is no longer with us. And I didn't even hear of his passing. And he must have been in his 60s. He looked way, way younger than me. I'm in my 50s. And he just always just looked just like a rock star. And in fact, he had a whole other iteration of himself known as Ricky Ray Stevens. Was it Ricky Ray Stevens? Not Richie Ray Stevens. What? Am I getting confused with the guy that did all those novelty songs? That was Ray Stevens. It was something like that. Anyway, Café Anyway. He was on the podcast. I actually have an interview with him. I think you can find it on the website if you go to the interview section at the upper left-hand corner of the website. Just the nicest guy. And I heard about that today. My ex-wife actually told me. And I was so heartbroken. I think he passed away a while ago, and the news just never got to me up here in the Bay Area. But he was so well known in Ventura County. And I was just very sad. And it just, if I could talk to him right now, if he's listening to this podcast through some miracle of, he's in the ethers and somewhere above listening, I would say to him, thank you, Randall, for all the kind, wonderful things you said to me. He gave me advice. He gave advice to everyone. He gave praise to everyone that deserved it, that needed it. He was there for them all. So thank you for doing that and being such a good friend. And I'm really going to miss you. And I'm so sad I'm not going to ever have the chance to interview you again on my podcast. So I'm glad I didn't talk to Nathan about it. I probably would have not made it through the rest of the call. But yeah, next time I talk to him, though, we'll have to chat about that. We had a brief discussion in the podcast about some of the people we lost that we used to know over at Cafe Voltaire in downtown Ventura. Such a wonderful place. So many musicians. I remember one time the late David Crosby showed up with Graham Nash, and I wasn't there. They told me, hey, you know who was here? Then they showed up again later. I was, But I did meet, was it Randy California, who was a well-known classic rock guitarist. In fact, I was playing on the piano, and when I was done, he walked up to me and said, hey, that sounded pretty good. So all these interesting characters that we knew. Jimmy Adams, such a wonderful guy. Always there was so much positivity there in downtown Ventura from what I remember when I was in my 20s and 30s. So anyway, just remembering Randall, and I'm going to really miss him. Okay. Thank you for listening to the show. If you'd like to share memories about Randall, if you knew him or knew someone like him, or remember great memories from Cafe Voltaire or downtown Ventura or Ventura County or whatever, here's the phone number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Foam for All.
And with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, we go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. Thank you for listening.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!